What's going on, YouTube family? This is YGO Podcast. Welcome back. Please hit that like and comment, and please subscribe to the channel. We're growing. We're at 188, 187 subscribers now. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. Let's go ahead and get into it. The deck for today, the deck profile that we're going to be debuting today is going to be Labrynth. So as you guys know, that this deck has increased in price quite a bit. It's essentially since its release. Welcome Labrynth has always been pretty much on the pricey side, but the Labrynth card in general, the deck didn't really get that much hype upon release. It wasn't until the OCG started really showing it in their meta, and it started doing like random tops, and a lot of people started coming up in a lot of tournaments that people really started to see that this deck has a really good strategy. I think what got this deck overlooked in the very beginning was the fact that it's trap based, and a lot of trap based decks that we had at the time seemed to be superior to it. Like we had Eldritch, we have Altergeist, and so now we have this deck. And I mean, even Amazement is a trap themed deck. And now in this meta, we've got Labrynth and Amazement that are now getting more support. So I wanted to go ahead and go over some of the builds I've looked up, put together, and yeah, and I'll be profiling for you. So let's go ahead and get into it. So for starters, we always want to start out with the best card of the deck, right? The boss monster, the best card of the deck. And that's going to be 3 Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle. Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle is your best card. That's going to be your facilitator of all pretty much your combos. It's going to allow you to special summon itself and just kind of apply a lot of pressure on the board. So it's a really ingenious strategy as far as the deck as a whole, and it's a really good addition. I believe the card became available in Darkwing Blast. Please don't hold me accountable for that, but I believe that, it's a great addition to the strategy. And the next card will be 3 Ariana of the, Servant? Of the Labrynth Servant. I'm sorry. Yeah, sometimes these names are a little bit off for me. I can't really see too well that far. But this card has been the Servant cards in the Labrynth strategy. Let me just go ahead and I guess make this clear. The Servant cards in the Labrynth strategies are either a run or no run. So I've been seeing 3 Ariana. Sometimes people play 2. And then they'll play one of the other one, the smaller one. I forget her name. But they'll play either 2 and 1, 3 of this one, or no copies at all. They'll just run just the boss monsters. What I'm going to recommend to you is that it is going to be player's preference. And my preference is to play monsters that can be normal summoned, all right? And also their effects can facilitate other combos. So I really do think that this is a card that you're gonna need to run if you're gonna run a strategy, especially a trap-based strategy. You're gonna need to have a monster that's gonna help you keep resetting your cards and bringing things back for recursion. So and having a normal summonable monster, that's definitely something you're gonna need. So on to the next, you're gonna have 1 Lovely Labrynth. Obviously, you're going to just be using one of them. You don't really need very much more to big boss monsters. You would have, in comparison to your monsters that you don't have normal summonable, you've got 4 of those cards. You really don't want to clog those. I've had test hands where I've drawn 2, and it really, really hurts, especially when you don't have any traps to bring back. So that's something that you want to keep wary of. Also, her effect is not super great. So that's why you want to just run the minimum. And then 1 Labrynth Coup Clock. So this is going to just help you reset your normal traps. And then you're going to be running 1 Labrynth. The field spell, as far as the field spell goes, you really only want to run one or two. I've seen people max out on it. It's not necessary. If your opponent wastes resources on this card, I mean, it's really not going to stop too much of your strategy besides, maybe remove an additional pop. But that's fine for the most part. Your trap cards really put in a lot of work against your opponent anyway, and the additional pop is just kind of like extra. That's kind of like win more in my opinion. So playing at one, even if you don't see it, it'll still be great as far as the strategy goes. And then you're gonna run three welcome Labrynth. So this card's quite pricey now. It's roughly about $100 for the entire set. It's about $30 a copy, and it kind of hurts. I picked these up extremely early, so I picked them up when they were, I believe, like somewhere between 12 and 15. And I like to hold on to a lot of cards, especially for future deck profiles, as you guys can see. So what I recommend in the future, if you want to play a deck, and we have amazing defenders coming out in about 5 days, I recommend you pick up yourself whatever core that you'd like, and especially a core of a deck that may not be so popular. And I think that all those decks that are coming in Amazing Defenders are going to be expanded upon in the future. They may not be as popular now or as strong now, but they will get waves of support to where they will be potentially in the future. So that's my piece of advice to you. So this is going to be all for your Labrynth cards. So we're going to get into some hand traps. So for our hand traps that we're going to be playing, and I know this is getting really old and really tired, and I apologize, but we're going to be running 3 Bestial Magnamut. So, and then 3 Bestial Druid Worm. Okay. And then 3 Bestial Saronir. Okay. So if you didn't really expect this, I'm really sorry. I really am. It's kind of embarrassing at this point that it's just those cards are really, really, really good. And their effects to interrupt your opponent make them even better. And the fact that they're just link fodder and they apply extra pressure, they just really help your strategy overall in this deck. Then you're going to be running 3 Effect Veiler. So Effect Veiler is really good in terms of like stopping stuff on the field. You can stop Kikalos. You can stop quite a few things that are activating on the field. It also helps force negates, especially if your opponent's still in their main phase. So I do like Effect Veiler, and I also like Infinite Impermanence in this build as well. You can search it, set it, reset the card. It really helps shut off some things. You can set it in a column that has another card in it that may be active. So this deck is really good at being able to control the field. All you need is to help provide extra resources while taking away from your opponent. So that's why I chose this lineup. Then for the spells and traps for the deck, we're going to be running 3 Pot of Extravagance. So 3 Pot of Extravagance. You're not really using your extra deck all that much, so I wouldn't see why you couldn't run 3 Pot of Extravagance. Draw 2 is amazing. You can run Pot of Prosperity, and I actually do recommend Pot of Prosperity. Sometimes the +1 is a little bit better, in my opinion. So I will say that it's either or. You're going to be running 2 Gozen Match. Gozen's pretty self-explanatory. Lock your opponent out from being able to swarm the board. This deck is not able to swarm the board, so you want to be able to control your opponent as much as possible. You're going to be running 2 IDP. If you didn't really understand the control aspect, you should now with the IDP. IDP helps just control what your opponent has in the graveyard and on the board. You can get rid of 2 cards, and amazing card design. So we're going to be running 2 Dogmatica Punishment. We have the punishment targets in the extra deck, which I'll be going over here shortly. Dogmatic Punishment, really, I mean, as far as resetting the card, as far as being able to search it, you have quite a few spot removals in this deck, which I think is amazing. Then you're going to be having two compulsory evacuation device. Pretty self-explanatory. Really hurts, actually. A lot of times your opponent rather you destroy a card and put it in the graveyard so that way they can access it perhaps later rather than bounce that card back to their hand. So I see that this card actually hurts quite a bit more than, let's say, like maybe Regeki or Lightning Storm or something that puts a monster card in the graveyard. And then we're going to be running two Terrors of the Overroot. So this card is something that is kind of akin to IDP, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and read the effect. And the effect states, target one card your opponent controls and one card in their graveyard. Send that card on the field to the graveyard, and if you do, select the other card from the graveyard to your opponent's field. And so basically you're swapping out a monster on their field with a monster of your choice. So like IDP, it basically has to do all with your opponent's graveyard. So you get to essentially control what monsters that they have on the field at any given time. And if they waste resources on pulling monsters to the field, then you can activate Terrors and send that monster to the graveyard and then bring something back from their graveyard, like let's say that's way less useful, and special summon it to their field. Great forms of control. Let's get to the extra deck. All right, for the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we have our punishment targets. So we have one Garura. Draw one, good card. All right, 3 Elder Entity Intis. Pop one, even better card. Then 1 Wind Pegasus. That's going to be your quick effect in the graveyard to where you can banish it and then bounce a card on the field back to the hand. It's going to be awesome. And then you're going to have two of your Willow Founder of the Dredge Dragons. So this card is what you're going to make with your bestial monsters. If you have 2 of them on the field at any given time, this is really going to help you push for extra damage and also help apply extra pressure. Okay. Same thing with Meteorologic Aggregator. When you have 2 of your big silver castles out on the field, which I believe are either level 8 or level 9, but this can also be a punishment target to negate a monster effect on the field, which is pretty awesome as well. And then also you have 2 of your you also have 2 Hieratic Seals, which can help you bounce cards on the field, as well as special summon some of your bestials from your deck, help facilitate some extra combo. At least to make some link material, you have you're playing 2 Underworld Goddess, you're playing 1 Muckraker, 1 Dark, and then 1 Nightmare Unicorn. So all these cards together that's been put into the extra deck, of course, is not really, I've looked amongst a lot of builds, and these are the most common cards that I see being used. And I kind of just put together what I felt like was the best at the time. All right, guys. So as far as the deck goes, the deck is really crazy. I feel like it's going to get even better within the next meta. We have ban lists coming. We have all kinds of things coming. And I would say that if you're going to give it a run, let me know how you do at your locals. If you have a own version of the deck that you would like to submit, so that way I could do a deck profile, please submit it. I would love to profile your deck. And yeah, this has been YGO Podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe. And I'll be posting another video, hopefully next week. I try to do them once a week. As far as work constraints go, the more subscribers we get, the more content I can do and I can commit time to. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you at the next conversation. Take care.